think that is an opportunity.
Yes, I fully agree with Craig about his analysis, and I believe that, as I mentioned at the beginning, that there will be a need for affordable or for low-cost housing. And I feel that, although I agree with his analysis, I differ a little bit about the driving reasons that he mentioned. There is a very important one, which is the lack of the motivation for designers, for the construction people, to work on that. That is doable if you want to make a law. For example, if I design something for the UAE and I'm designing something, let's say, for Egypt or for another part of another region, it would be with almost the same convenience, the same quality, with maybe 70% of the price, starting from the design, from what materials to be used. And this is it's a double advantage. In fact, what's important about this is for making it sometimes more affordable, you can make it also more environmentally friendly, more long-lasting by utilizing of better materials. And I believe that this is very important, and I agree that it's going to be the driving force. I want to add something that Craig has analyzed maybe the market for the UAE and for the region. Again, I come to the other point, by 2020, and hopefully before that, much before that, these kind of crazy conflicts will be somehow subduing, and then there'll be a construction also boom, and there will be houses that even affordable with the countries in the region that will be almost 50% of the price of that. Like we have seen that something started in Egypt, maybe in the future in Yemen and Syria and other places. It is coming. So there is a need really to optimize things for being able as construction industry leaders in all type of things, maybe from designers to construction, to innovate, to be able to make better structures with less cost.
I don't disagree with what's said here. I mean, there was a sort of mention earlier we're going into a period of more normalisation in a marketplace, but as things become more competitive, it drives the innovation. By definition, if it's all relatively easy to building 5-star resorts and they still sell and you still make 20% margin, I'll carry on building 5-star resorts that sell for 20% margin all day, every day. Thank you very much. But when I'm going to take 5 or 6% out of the deal, but it's the only deal that's in town, and it maintains my workforce, it maintains my reputation, it maintains my company, of course I'm going to pay a bit more serious attention to it. I mean, not so much for the UAE, but I'd say the problem that's plagued Saudi Arabia, for instance, which is where in the GCC there's the greatest groundswell requirement for affordable housing, has of course been high land costs, and yes, they've now introduced this new 2.5% tax on land that's just lying around. But historically, I'm going to address the mortgage point Craig alluded to. We live in mostly the regional banks as lenders to national citizens, and also indeed quite often to expatriates. And actually happens to be on a high salary. We're not discussing that, and you might be able to deal with your bank in London. It's looking at short-term liquidity here in the banks. It's looking at short-term response. It doesn't want to be lent out to the bank for 25 years, typical mortgage loan for 30 years. It wants a return on its investment to be gone within a matter of 1, 2, 3 years. That's a function of the short-termism of that capital, but it's also a function of the perceptual instability of where it could go as a safer house. So you're seeing a lot of short-term investment pool, which isn't very good for the banks, because they're looking to try and understand their loan book for 25 years, and they haven't got money. I mean, Saudi's kind of semi-addressing that with the King's Fund that can be borrowed up from that. But there are, and it's not just Saudi. I mean, Oman's had similar issues, and there are many other countries in the Middle East that do have massive issues with that ability to get mortgages out to the population.
There's no question that the lack of affordable housing is a challenge for the Middle East, and I think everything the panelists have said is true. But let's look on the positive side and look at the measures that have been taken to try and ensure that affordable housing is available for people. If you look at a country like Saudi Arabia, there's a massive housing program that has been launched a few years ago. It's probably not moving as quickly as they wanted to, but going back 5 years now, when the announcement for 500,000 affordable homes was made, by the king. A lot of work has been done on that, and it extends from planning to design and the entire supply chain. I think you're going to start to see the fruits of that in the years to come. There's a few projects that are well underway, in the suburbs of Riyadh and Jeddah and many other places. And I think the dynamics of affordable housing are different in Saudi as compared to the UAE, where you have more of a transient population, people, as opposed to nationals, and they have different needs. And they're always going to look for the best option because they're here for a few years. They want to save more money. If they can move to Sharjah and save a little more money, they don't mind the traffic. But again, if you look at the structure plan for Dubai, there are zones that are dedicated to the construction of affordable housing, but then that gets affected by speculation in the real estate market. And then you have the policy measures that have been taken to try and curb that, which have had an impact now, I think, in the last couple of years. So I think things have not been obviously as good as they should have been, but you're going to see that gap being plugged in the years to come. Developers have wised up to it as well, and each one of them has more of a diversified portfolio now. They're not all pitching to the luxury end of the market. You do have offerings that are aimed at the middle class now. So I'm more positive about the future.
I think the question was on social infrastructure in general, so we really should be talking about education and healthcare as well. And I think it's important to see that the region has made considerable progress around here, but we're still probably in the position of we're kind of halfway house on both of those, and there's certainly more investment needed in education, certainly more in health, and more planned in health, and at different levels as well. So we do have still some large, what we call general hospitals in Saudi Arabia coming up. UAE is probably more of another level of the more into primary care and specialist clinics, and the continued push from the government in focusing on those investments is certainly good for the population, and also good for making those places a destination and a better place to work. I think going back to Craig's point around the challenge of the construction industry has in terms of mid-scale housing, I would say actually that challenge is also felt and has been felt in the education sector, in the secondary school market, and my view is that the industry is absolutely able to build economically. A lot of it is down to specification. The greater demand there is on more repeatable prefabricated solutions in the region, the greater the industry will respond to it. Certainly we're in a position now of, for example, the bathroom pod is absolutely a reality for most hospitality schemes and student residential schemes, and that is not a problem at all. The precast market is also quite sophisticated now, but there is much further, we can go a lot further, and it is absolutely demand driven. We shouldn't just expect it to happen, it will not happen. But once the demand is generated by, for example, for the requirement to build faster and more economically, then the rest will follow.
Great. I'm going to give you all one question, and then I want to open it up to the floor, just with a short answer. I'm going to start actually in the middle with Dr. Shibuni. So, what one project or sector or anything, what opportunity are you most excited about for the region, upcoming in the next few years?
I believe things that are in the social and maybe infrastructure. Basically, I see that it will be some more maybe schools and maybe universities and maybe some kind of academic related and hospitals. The social
the social aspect.
Social aspect. I believe there's a big chance and there is a need for that in the future.
Yes, I entirely agree with the social sector, particularly the hospital, the healthcare industry, and hospitality. And not only this, but existing building will form a much larger portion.
I've already introduced the topic of middle income housing as probably the biggest opportunity. And I think the developers in Dubai have started to realise that. The largest two projects that have been launched, housing projects in Dubai, over the last couple of years, one by Nakheel at Jebel Ali and one by Njama called Town Square. But between them they will add about 40,000 affordable units. So I think affordable housing is definitely the way to go, and the development industry is starting to recognise that.
Christopher?
Sorry, I thought you were going to come to my colleague on my left first. For me, it's what we call transport-oriented development. I think the combination of exciting mixed-use development and mobility is a real key for this region. It's something that's underexploited. So I think honestly that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to coming up.
Asif?
I'm going to go with railways actually. Over $100 billion of investment either in the planning or construction stage in Saudi alone and much more across the region.
In the short term, as a group, with my group hat on, I'm going to go defence infrastructure, because I'm seeing KSA. In the short to mid term, I'm going to back with ASIC as well.
Great.